It is April 18th, 2017. We're in our second year of streaming here on lichess and Twitch. My name is International Master William Paschall. We are Slaggy on Twitch, and Slaggy if you like, and Sparkle Horse on lichess. Only place I'm playing chess at the moment. Gladys Troll just put in a King Crusher FIDE title stream. What is that? That's the part where I beat him or something? We've got challenges, guys. It's anything between 5-3 and 8-3. 5-second max increments. So you can challenge me to like 5-5, 6-5, 7-5. But 8-3 is the maximum. It's like a 20-minute game in some cases. So the 8-3 is the max. 5-3 is the minimum. Casual challenges. We give you the freedom to choose your time control, basically. Gladys Troll, what is that clip you got there? So, I don't know if I want to watch King Crusher. I don't know if it's good for my game. But I try to preach to people to take their time and try to play the best moves. Anyway, Troll in the Roll is challenging me to Chess 960, Zareta Boss, Aldisto, and Mule Skinner, who we were just talking about, ironically. Someone asked the question, what do you do when you play someone who, has a playing style you don't like? And, I mean, this is something that we encounter sometimes. In my case, I think about it, oftentimes in terms of, like, feeling more comfortable in open positions and getting opponents who really try to force kind of, like, closed games. This is, for me, the most obvious example of playing an opponent whose style I really don't like playing against. And just in that moment, a Mule Skinner popped up. I had just thought, like, it's funny that he hadn't been back, because he was a regular opponent for us here on the stream. Yesterday's challenging me. So, you like the beard style, Zareta Bossina. Yeah, nobody commented on that. We did the go-to. But something a little bit different. I need to be more creative. As we get older, and change is important. As we get older, we become more stuck in our ways. So I don't want to become like this old person who is like, just never changes anything. And it goes for playing chess too. You got to maintain your creativity. And I think as you get older, you become more stuck in your ways. I have a friend like that who's like an older master. And he's incapable of changing and adapting. So, speaking of facial hairstyles, it applies to everything in life. I think we need to be creative. We need to work on staying creative and trying new stuff and doing different stuff. So, that applies to different openings and everything else. And different streams. If you guys have any interest in any kind of ideas you want to throw out there for interesting stuff we can do for the stream, feel free to throw it out there. I think for the Mondays, I'm probably going to change the time control back to something like 8+3. RCL XOR says, I have to write a report ASAP and I'm procrastinating because of you. What do you advise? Yeah, I'm a big procrastinator. And I don't know, I mean, I had a friend who was a really good academic and he used to kind of like make deals with himself, He would say, like, do part of it and promise himself he could play, like, one blitz game or something like that. And then, go back. And so maybe you can make some kind of deal with yourself to do, like, a certain amount of work. And once you reach a certain point, you can watch or play or whatever. Some kind of compromise, I guess, is the best solution. Nabil challenging. That's 2 Chess 960 games, which we're going to play. I woke up a little bit late. I've got really bad allergies and a sore throat. And this hot coffee is helping. But I didn't sleep really well last night because of my allergies. And so we are like running behind schedule like 5 or 10 minutes here. Basically. Brained hand chess is a cool idea for streaming. Guys, I was thinking of doing like this is crazy, alright? I'm not saying I'm going to do this. I just thought it would be cool to do like a chess. It's a crazy idea. To do like a chess seance, where I played like some kind of famous grandmaster who's like been in the spirit realm for a while. But, I mean, it's kind of like technically difficult to pull it off. You know, I thought like a seance match against Alakine or something like that, you know, would be kind of cool. But I don't know if I can contact the spirit realm, so we'll see what happens. I'll have to get a medium or something. The troll on the roll. You ever like imagine you could play like a famous chess player who's been long dead? I mean, you know, like a match with with Paul Morphy or something. You know, what would happen? People are always asking what would happen if Morphy played Kasparov. You know, and I think that there is some kind of story about this. Maybe it involved Korchnoi, I don't remember. But maybe somebody knows. If some famous chess player tried to play, I think some famous chess player tried to play, or claimed to play a dead famous player, but anyway, just to give you an idea of some of the crazy creative ideas I have. Let's get started with the troll on a roll. It's chess 960, 6+3. The seance match against Alekhine or something, that would be the coolest. Fake news. Gladys Troll, what is that? What is that King Crusher thing? I mean, I don't want to click on it now, but can somebody tell me what Gladys Troll is posting up there? All right, troll on a roll. It's chess 960. Knights in the center. Actually, all the pieces look pretty well placed, you know, for a pretty good game of chess here. Centralized knights, bishops toward the sides of the board. This could be interesting. I think you can go with the default, you know, e4, e5 here. Just watch this on the stream. I'm scared, Plukro. I don't know, man. Plukro. Gladys Troll. Plukro, thanks for joining us as a moderator and as a player as well. Plukro's been kind of filling in as a moderator since Jeroen has gone AWOL. I don't know what's up with him. But Plukro's done an apt job. We really appreciate you. You know, you're here anyway, and you've been helping out as a moderator, and it's been awesome. He's crazy, huh? I'm afraid to click on it, man. I'm sorry. 93. I like the blitz tournaments on lichess, and I think the format is cool of the arena, you know, but I think that lichess should have more kinds of tournaments. You know, it shouldn't always be berserking, you know, and arena tournaments. I mean, I think there should be other types of tournaments too. Because the arena style where, like, you know, I mean, King Crusher basically, he could just resign every time he faces a good player and just start a new game. And you're not really punished for the games you lose. You know, it's kind of a weird format. I know that it's cool and there's some virtue in it, but I think lichess has to expand and make, like, different types of formats of tournaments. I mean, you can have knockout tournaments, and there's every kind of formats, and we should have should make it appeal to create more types of tournaments, basically. Man, I hate the opening stage of chess 960. Is so tough. I could just blindly copycat white here. But King Crusher has mastered the arena berserking style. Alright. I'm just wasting too much time. Zarita Bassina said, I hope you'll meet in Budapest once. It'll be my honor since my sis is there. Okay, you're very often in Hungary. I know your dad told me about your sister. That's really cool. Actually, yeah, the second person I met whose relative was an athlete living here recently. Knight F3. All right. Guess we're gonna have to play D6. This looks a little bit passive for black. I keep forgetting my king is on F8. Yeah, but I mean, if I click on that link, Gladys Troy, what is it? Just watch it on the stream. You see, he wants me to click on the stream. I bid you a good day, Sanalitza. Mongolitza. All right, D4. It's basically a passive setup for me here. Not real thrilled about this. I don't think this is optimal. Looks like a really good Steinitz for white, basically. This looks really weird. The rook on c1 is actually well placed. The only problem piece is his bishop at g1. This bishop here can come out to a2. I don't know why I'm helping him so much. Sometimes I find myself doing that, you know, just kind of between the games. It's 30 seconds. All right, I'll try it. But if I click on it, it's not going to go on the stream because it's on my other machine. The problem is I'm streaming on my main machine. I'd have to like manually type in the web address on the other one. Welcome everybody. We're playing a little chess 960. I'm not too warmed up. I overslept by a few minutes today and feel kind of not awake yet. I'm having 2 coffees instead of 1. I've got just got over being sick and I have allergies. Always complaining and making excuses about stuff. It's not good. Need to just be tougher. Troll in a roll, we're gonna like lose on time at move 5. This is a little bit excessive. Webcam's kind of drifting. Anyway, b3. What's b3 about? The queen on a1. Putting more pressure on the center. I wanted to get my bishop out on a7. Whoops. Houston. I don't think we're going to be able to maintain that strong point anymore. It could be a serious problem, but I'm most worried about this g8 bishop, which is an argument for f6, which is really, really weakening my position. Man, this looks super sketchy. Only conceivable because I have this bishop that guards the white squares here. I just hate playing f6 in any kind of Lopez type of position. I have talked a little bit about in previous streams the Norwegian variation of the Lopez, where you do like knight a5 and knight takes b3. Sometimes in that opening, in that variation, black plays like f6 to maintain the strong point on e5. But in general, I mean, my other option here was to give up the center with e takes d, and after knight takes d4, I could have considered bishop a7 there. I'm not a big fan of giving up the center, the strong point. But Troll is having a little bit of issues with his dark squares now, you know, so maybe this will work out. He's kind of extended himself, let's say. Lose on time on move 5. I mean, chess 960 is hard. It really is. This looks like a kind of viable dark square grip we've got here. I'm not in love with the bishop at b1. His bishops are buried. My bishops are alive. That's the real difference between the two positions, isn't it? I mean, he's got more space, but I've paid more attention to my bishops being, like, active. I was thinking, like, g6, King's Indian style. Then I don't know, do I put my king or knight on g7? We're going to lose on time. Move 5. It would be typical. I rush. Oh, you heard the laugh. It's scary, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a... I was watching some old TV show last night, and there was this one actor who was like the evil murderer. He had the King Crusher laugh. Or something like similar. It's really demented. Yeah, c5. If I play c5, I would hold up his stuff, but he's going to creep out with f3 and start to fight back for control of the dark squares. I wonder what I should do about it. Interesting. a5, a3, bishop c5, queen a7, but he can creep up and get b4 in. I feel like I'm playing on his side of the board if I do anything along the lines of c5. Then again, maybe it is good to do c5. I don't know. Am I playing on the wrong side of the board? I'm blocking my own bishop with that move. Whew, this is really weird. If I play a5, I feel like he'll just slowly roll on the queen side, and I might have a difficult time. Maybe it's best to just ignore it and try to develop the rest of my pieces. But how, right? Oh man, this is not as good for me as I was thinking. All right. It's kind of a crazy move. I don't know. What's he gonna do though? Give up his strong point? There's an argument for taking on c6. I think this move is a bit anti-positional for black to do c5. Unfortunately, there's just not enough time to play this game. 3-second increments. We should really have like 15-second increments, I think. Maybe for the Chess 960 games, we have to make the increments like a minimum of 5 seconds. I'm going to insist on that from now on. Troll on a roll. We've got to have at least 5-second increments for this Chess 960. It's just too much time is necessary to use in the beginning stage. But I'm happy he didn't take on c6, sort of. We're just going for it on his side of the board. And then we'll shift over to the other side. Once we've conquered this side of the board, this is a demented position. Mule Skinner would like this. Now what? Where's this knight going? We're just talking about opponents who are difficult to play against. I was talking about as I started the stream today, and this is this just insanely closed position. I'm going to lose on time first. I mean, f6, look at my king opposite that queen on a1. Not real happy about that. Troll's actually playing faster than me. Whew, I'm a little bit concerned about this. At least we finally got our rooks connected. Lots of tactics flowing here, obviously. Bishop g3 is a strange move. He's going to play for f4. Attacking the head of my pawn chain, or what? I guess we have a technical problem here. If pawn takes pawn, we have to take with the knight, not to let him come into c6. Oh, wow. It's crazy. He lost on time. I think white's a little bit better here, spatially. Wow, a lot bit better. The engine's crazy for what white. It's like it's up material. Wow. The computer says he's up a pawn. Am I down a pawn or something? Holy shit. Look how much material I'm down. Like nothing. And it says it's plus 1.3. That's really insane. Wow. Okay, A3 is a serious problem. I really wanted to play B4. Okay, A3, B4. I'm surprised by the computer's evaluation though. Like 1 point something. I noticed that, Gladys Troll. You're definitely in the Mule Skinner school of chess there with the closed positions. I'm learning a lot about myself doing the stream. I never thought I was so more apt, you know, to be happier in like open positions. I always played both open and closed positions. But as I've gotten more advanced, I think I've leaned more toward the open positions. When I first started out, like say when I was, I don't know, 2000 or 2100, occasionally I was still playing stuff. Even when I was 2200, I remember playing the closed Sicilian with white against Josh Whiteskin. With black, I often played a closed Sicilian type setup against the English. But as I've gotten more advanced, I guess I've played less and less closed positions. Although I still play the Nimzo, I don't feel as comfortable in this kind of position. So I'm surprised by that evaluation though. 1.3. The King Crusher, what is that, man? I'm watching your video now, but I have to watch it on the other.
That's funny. Oh, dear.
It's like,
You might think I'm a psychopath or something. From that comment. Oh, but come on. You guys like a good pin, don't you?
this guy's crazy. All right, I listened to your video. I didn't. Yeah, it's pretty. He sounds like a cartoon. All right, cartoon villain or something. Zareda Boss. All right. Sorry I couldn't put the video on the main screen there, but we have it on the other laptop. I listened to the hysterical laughings of King Crusher. You might have heard it in the background. He played against me in one tournament for the first time here on lichess. But he just like played normally and then like, yeah, he was berserking. To like berserk regardless of your opponent, that's kind of insane. I could see berserking, but not against the strongest players you play. All right, Zareda Boss, B6. Basically, we can play E4, but we're more limited in the kind of answers we have against the normal Owens. So, if E4, Bishop B7, Knight C3, it's fine with me though. He could play a Bauer, for lack of a better name, Sicilian with like C5 and B6. There's one rated game in the list. All right, who's Super Sebi? Tried to sneak it in there. Super Sebi, if you could re-challenge me to casual, please. Thank you for that. Ominous Monkey, future moderator. Bishop B7, good call, man. So we can play. Yeah, once I played Alexander A.V. Ivanov in this, and I've probably played more games with Alexander Ivanov than any other strong player. I mean, probably like 15 tournament games. They're always epic encounters. But Not lately. The last time was back around 2015, maybe 2014. I did beat him the last time. E6. Once Alexander played this against me, and I chose to play this setup against the Owen defense, allowing bishop b4. I still think that white gets an edge here, even with this like slightly less than main line variation. He smothered mated you on move 7 or 8. The guy, yeah, I mean the style is tailored for that. Knight f6 now. You know, I think my game with Alexander was queen e2, d5. I guess I don't really have a choice. You can play the e5. You can play e5 here, but there's something weird about this too. Zaré the boss. I really know how strong he is, and I can't click on the hyperlinks. Why don't I get the hyperlink? Is it my mouse? Just the site doesn't let me. It's an unrated game. Like, why am I not allowed to see your ratings, Zaré the boss? You're protected. Do other people have that? Like some accounts, I can click on it, like hover my mouse and see info, and other accounts I can't. These guys I can't. I can't see myself. Let me refresh my page here. Leave page, whatever. All right, let's try again. Yeah, see how it does that? There's like a bug. Zaré the boss, 2273. It's provisional. 2248 though. It's pretty close. Yeah, I know we played the other day. I thought we had played before that, but maybe you had a different account? I know your dad played, but I'm just curious if you had ever played me with a different account before. Multi-accounters. What's up, guys? We're going to be streaming this week. Tomorrow's Weird Wednesday. We play unusual openings. And C5 now. I don't remember facing this really. It's kind of a strange move. It looks like white has multiple moves. D5. I mean, we have D5, E5, A3. It's giving us a pretty wide choice of possibilities here. Castles. Bishop G5, I'm not that convinced by. I mean, I do play similar openings with black, because sometimes I play the St. George, which is very similar. I mean, A3 seems very logical. Our bishop can get trapped. I don't know. D5, pawn takes pawn, check, queen e7. And it looks like the D5 pawn is overextended there. I'm sure this is some kind of obscure variation. He's playing very quickly. Guys, what's up? I don't see too much chat in the chat room. Excuse me if I if I cough, but I think it's got to be allergy to plants in the city park here in Budapest. Sometimes in the summer I have these sneezing attacks. Once, I think the first year I played in Budapest, in 1997, I had this Grandmaster tournament or IM tournament I played in the middle of the summer. It was like 98, I think. I think it was July of 98. I played in a GM tournament, and there was this one tournament I remember where I had a sneezing attack that lasted for like 10 minutes or something. I couldn't stop. Some kind of ragweed plants or something. We just sit quietly and learn. I'm learning from Zareta Boss. I don't really know this variation. C5 isn't the main line. AV played D5 against me, and actually Alexander messes around sometimes with B6 type of stuff, but it's not his main opening. He went through a phase where he was playing the English defense, and I did lose to him once in that, in Venezuela. Bishop takes C4. Not a lot of options in that position. So he trades. This reminds me of a Nimzo Indian now. It's basically more like a Nimzo than it is French or Owen's defense or Sicilian. It's kind of a cross between like the Winnower French and the Sicilian and the Nimzo Indian. I would imagine White has a lot of opportunities in this kind of position to sacrifice that pawn on C3 for dynamic play. I mean, it may well be best to play something routine, like Bishop B2 here. I mean, I guess Morphy would just castle and give the pawn. You know, we'll have the seance later, but you know, it doesn't seem to me that Paul Morphy would bother defending that pawn on C3. Bishop B2 is kind of ugly. Alright. I don't feel like babysitting this pawn on C3, you know. White has some development, and it's just not clear my bishop wants to go to B2. Maybe it will be great on B2 if the diagonal clears, but we'll sacrifice the pawn, you know, for open lines in the bishop pair. I think it's a reasonable play. How do you celebrate Easter in Hungary? Well, I'm not really Hungarian. Hungary is primarily a Christian country, obviously, and I don't know, they just have a lot of church bells ringing on Easter, and everybody goes to Catholic church, and you know, the Western kind of idea of Easter and Easter bunnies and stuff like that sort of slowly creeps in. I mean, you see commercial advertisements for stuff like that, but it's kind of like Halloween, you know. I mean, slowly these Western ideas start infiltrating. When I was a little kid, ironically, Easter was my favorite holiday. I guess I don't know why, actually. I liked Easter bunnies, and my name actually means Easter in Latin. Okay. Queen D2, though, he can go back to E4. Not really sure. Queen E5, maybe. Man, Zareta Boss. Alright, we need to be intense here. I guess I have to go to D3. I wasn't sure I wanted to block my bishop being on C4. But it seems weird to just not finish my sentences is even weirder. I have D5 here. Very committal idea. Possibly strong. Let's go for it. I mean, cutting off his bishop I'm not sure about this. He's got a huge time advantage. You might have a birch pollen allergy. Yeah, it doesn't seem like ragweed season. I don't know what it is, man, but it's suddenly... I thought I was just getting better from being sick, and then the allergies started kicking in. I guess it's not ragweed. That's in the summer. I think I have a lot of allergies to different kinds of plants that I don't even know. When I was a little kid, I had some allergy tests, but I don't remember. I'm allergic to a lot of stuff. Nothing seriously. All right. 2 bishops lead in development for a pawn. We play to kill. Maybe necessary to sacrifice more material here. For a minute I was afraid of knight d6, but I think I could just play bishop b3 in that kind of position. And meet bishop a6 with c4. That's basically what I'm talking about. My PokerStars shirt, do you play poker too? Yeah, I mean, all I was doing for like forever was playing poker. That's why I'm not as good at chess as I should be, probably. Because what am I thinking about here now? All right, let's keep the thematic pressure on d5. I was playing poker for the last 6 years. I mean, basically, I discontinued online poker at the beginning of 2016. So between 2010 and 2015, that's all I did. I hardly played chess at all. Knight to f6. You know, who knows how far I could have gotten if I hadn't started playing damn poker. Knight f6. But I wish that was my only excuse, you know. Just too much partying and not being serious enough about my chess is probably the main excuse. I can't blame poker for everything. Should I put the bishop on the long diagonal here, or bishop g5? This is thematic though. What would Mamedyarov do? We got 33 seconds. Can we play today? You have time to play all challengers. Abu Fazl, it all depends. It all depends. I don't think so. If you just challenge now, you're at the bottom of the list. You might make it. I can't guarantee it. Peace sacrifices. It's all cool. Alright, man. But I've got d5 protected now. g4. What the heck is that? My god, Zareta Boss is like playing to flag me here. This is an incredible position for white. But I have no time. I wouldn't touch this position with black for $1 million, dude. But I might lose on time. But it looks like we finally have some sort of concrete threats. Oh, I see. No time at all. Why did I play that move? What? Well, that's pretty impressive, Zareda boss. Alright, man. You're too good for me. Let's see here. I think we were winning. Not at the end, though. It's just too hard to make perfect moves in this position for white. Too much precision required here. You're too fast, dude. Alright. Aldi Stowe. It was a good game, but I'm just too slow. Have you ever been at WSOP event? No, I mean, I haven't been living in the United States like since 2003. So I really started playing poker very, very seriously. I started playing as an amateur around 2001, and I knew how to play since I was a kid, but I didn't really get serious about poker until maybe 2006, 2007, 2008, and then really serious later. I played some live tournaments here in Europe, but I have never really wanted to go to the World Series of Poker. I played in the EPT, but that's already like a lot of people. I just don't really like massive conglomerations of people. Like 10,000 player tournament doesn't really appeal to me. It's just like, even the EPT events with like 2,000 players are like really chaotic, and I don't really like, I played mostly online. I don't really like huge crowds, so I wanted to play the EPT. I thought about it, but it's just not really that appealing to me. But I've kind of stopped getting more back into chess now. I still play live occasionally, but I've stopped playing online. Online poker just really sucks compared to how it used to be. B5 from Aldisto. If I wait any longer to become a strong chess player, I'm going to be dead. So I think this is the last legitimate window of youth when I have a serious chance to still become a GM. B5 from Aldisto. This is a rare move, I would think. All right. We sacrificed a piece last game. I mean, I don't know much about Aldisto. We played him once before. Once again, piece sacrifices look like they could be important here, but I'm also a little bit wary about my f2 square. You know, if I play something like rook e1, which looks very natural, but Aldisto, like the last opponent, he just moves instantly. I mean, this is a problem now. I try to commentate and talk, but I'm getting challenged to 5-3, and there's like no time to talk. I'm commentating like it's an 8-3 game here, and I'm just burning like 2 minutes on time against a strong player. So I'm at a huge disadvantage. People ask me why I don't play rated games. I mean, I'm going to play like rated games with like 3-minute time odds or something. You know, it's not really practical. 95 sacking a piece. Now I'm down 2 minutes in the clock, so I think the best thing for me to do here is try to play solidly at this point. I'm totally winning at the end. I don't know. The computer said it was even at the end. It's possible, though. My engine is slow. My computer has a tendency to overheat. When I'm running Stockfish on this laptop, sometimes its evaluations are funky. But when I tossed it on the engine there, it said it was like you were okay. I think my last move was a mistake. I mean, obviously F3 was a mistake. I just panicked in time pressure. I should just trade queens right away. If I have a chance to trade queens. Yeah, I mean, the position was overwhelmingly good for me. But time-wise, I have to be precise, you know. So if I'm not precise, you can win, and that's the case there. It was strategically a very, very risky game for black. Here we have 95, but he can just play queen b7, probably declining the piece sacrifice. And I'm not even sure I want to sacrifice a piece with this time disadvantage. So white's got to deal with b5. Queen e2, not a good move for that reason. But maybe rook e1 now makes more sense than it used to make, because I don't have to worry quite as much about f2 here. Somehow I flagged you, which I don't like. I was a little surprised I flagged. I didn't think 4 seconds went by, or 3 seconds or whatever, but it did. I'm not playing... I'm not really used to being down to 3 seconds. Like, even when I play blitz here in 3-0 or 5-0, I mostly play 5-0, 3-2, or sometimes 3-0, but not often. I generally don't let myself get down to less than... I try not to let myself get down to less than 30 seconds ever. So I don't really find myself in that situation that often. But I have to really find good moves in that position. So... it looks like white's got something here. It's possible this is still book. I mean, h5 looks kind of like a normal move. a4, opening it up. We have bishop f4, and I'm running out of time again. Knight d5, what does it do? That's the million-dollar question. I guess I'm just going to flag a lot of games today. I really don't know what to say. All right, let's go with a4. I just want to try to open it up. Black is less developed. Yeah, I don't often play e4, Zarabasina. It's my least frequent opening move. I mean, I play knight f3, d4, c4 a lot, and e4 sometimes, you know, depending on my opponents. I'm not really like a classical e4 player. Now, my big idea here, not really that deep, but my big idea was to play a5 and outpost my knight on b6. That's about the best I can think of. I'm not sure, though, you know, that it's even really viable if my e4 pawn becomes a problem. Again, I'm going to get into really bad time pressure, and when you play sacrificially and you give up material like I did in the last game, this game, maybe the onus is on you to prove something, you know. And usually I play a lower risk style here on the stream because, and in blitz tournaments, because I can play faster. It's harder to play when you have less time and you're making sacrifices and stuff like that. Anyway, we'll just follow through the plan. But Aldisto, like Zarabasina, is pretty fast. So, I mean, the good thing about playing this kind of position is that I'm a lifelong Sicilian player, so I kind of see what Black's going to do, you know, for the most part. I mean, I know the Black King is not ultimately really in a safe position. A lot of good players play the e6 type of Sicilian. Svidler, Kamsky. But it's difficult to commentate when I get down to like this increments. Knight f6 now. Original plan was to play knight b6, but there's too much pressure on my e4 pawn. No, don't do that, Aldisto. I don't want more time. I always get down to my increments, and I just ask people not to give me extra time. If I lose on time, I lose on time. But we've got an increment. Don't give me more time. I'm not like handicapped, you know. I purposely let myself get down to my increments. I can play, you know, I can play 3-0, 5-0. How many GM norms do you have? 0. Unfortunately. I did once come a half point short. That was a long time ago, back in 1999, I think. Just classically, we're in a really good spot here. Kind of like last game. Low on time, but we have really principled advantage. But I make this point a lot to people that one thing I have noticed with the dawn of lichess and other sites that allow for extremely fast time controls, one thing I've noticed is that people more and more, the ability to play fast is becoming more widespread. But ultimately, playing good moves is the most important thing. And I think that people put too much priority on playing fast. And I think that lichess is, well, not just internet chess is responsible for that, you know. The priority really for players should be, the main priority should be to play good moves. And people too much emphasis is put on trying to play fast. You should play very strong firstly, and fast secondly. You know, so the priorities are messed up. I mean, I saw this playing blitz in chess cafes when I was playing chess for money, you know. Basically, you really need to learn how to play very, very strongly and then learn how to play faster. Black was lost pretty much the whole entire endgame here. Middle game opening was interesting. If we look, so b5 it's played. It's a pretty rare line. Grand Zuniga, you know, he just sort of makes up stuff as he goes along. Computer think white has an advantage here. So I played knight takes c6. The main move turns out to be rook e1. I was concerned about f2, but it looks like my fears were unfounded. I'm supposed to play rook e1 right away here. This is a rare position. White still has a sizable advantage. All right, guys. That seemed pretty good. Mule Skinner is a really, really tough opponent for me. Ultra Bullet, I think, when I saw you like c4, we played English last day, a draw. Yeah, I play a lot of English openings and flank stuff. Mule Skinner is a tough opponent because he plays mostly closed positions. Alright, let's try c4. He plays Grand Prix attack reversed. I have a student who was competing in a tournament this week who actually had a game. Actually, I've had several students have games in the reverse Grand Prix attack lately. I've actually recommended this line for black, just to prove that I do sometimes. I used to like to play closed positions, but I recommend Mule Skinner's system there with knight c3, knight c6, and f5. How can I get him out of his book? Well, it is kind of tough. Like, he's going to play knight c6, f5 against most everything. So you want to do a Rachmanov, sort of knight f3, e4 variation, which isn't really great for white. You can't really prevent black from doing Grand Prix type of line. Let's say knight c3, knight c6, knight f3 is my best chance. Let's go for that. 71 people's looking. Yeah, we usually get to around 70. Another thing I was thinking about making like cooler titles for my stream. You know, I'm always like Tuesday 10 o'clock blitz. You know, I should make up some kind of fun titles for the stream to attract more viewers. What do you guys think? Should I be less serious? Of course, we want serious viewers here. G4, that looks like something Jabava would do. You might as well just play G4 on move 1. Guys, oh, I saw an interesting game yesterday. Aronian versus Maxime. And Levant took him out. Actually, it's a very important variation of the English that Aronian has been a kind of specialist in. But I'm not really convinced. You know, he out-techniqued Vacher in an ending yesterday, but I felt like black should have been fine. It's a variation that I really don't think that white has enough, and it's a problematic line. If you want to check out the game from the Grenke tournament, again, Aronian versus Vacher Legrave yesterday, it's typical Aronian, like he manages to win against an attacking player in a kind of technical position. You know, playing in a similar style to how I would have played it, actually, just better technique. And Levant, but I don't know about the opening. You know, it's an important variation for the English opening. Mule Skinner here with d6. I'm not certain what the best is here for white. We could play d5 and transpose to a sort of King's Indian. but it doesn't look like an accurate move order for white. Taking on e5 doesn't seem right either. Try to keep the tension here. Zara Bossina says he's 2270. I'm playing like a scrub. The rest is logic. Well, Zara Bossina, I recommend that you don't get overly hooked on playing super fast blitz and really try to deepen your game a little bit. Maybe playing longer games. The temptation is there to play fast, and you did flag me, but I think that the emphasis has to be on getting a good position and maintaining it, and time has to be the second priority, not the first priority, because you're going to win a lot of games on time, but I think you're not searching for the truth enough, maybe. Need to try to play perfectly. I mean, that's what I really strive to do, and I don't achieve it, but at least I'm on the right path. I'm really trying to play correctly, trying to play perfect moves every game. And sometimes I play a good game, with very few mistakes. But I try not to put emphasis on playing for time. So I think that takes away from our efforts to play the best moves. Second best moves are not good enough. If you're going to play, it's good enough to beat weak players, but if you want to beat strong players, you're going to have to play perfectly. And we can only do that, by really taking our time and looking as deeply as we can into the position. Here, knight g5 is the question. Is it better to just go back to g1? There could be d5 too, but because knight g5, h6, knight h3, g5. I've seen Walter Brown play that with black. Actually, one of my students was talking about Walter Brown playing the black side of this type of English. He used to play, I saw a game where he played Michael Rode once where he did like h6, g5 very, very early. And, it's actually setting up a kingside fianchetto. And although it weakens black's kingside, it is a tempo, so it's a question whether white's better off. Even knight h4 might be a move there, but is it better off? Am I better off playing knight g5 or just doing it like this? It's an interesting question. Now black is ready for d5, it looks like. If he gets in d5, it looks like his whole position starts to make sense. I'm kind of talking funny because I'm on the verge of having a coughing attack. I don't know. I don't have much here. I don't feel like I have much. Probably not that critical for white here. This line. I don't normally play this. I feel like black's okay, no matter what I do now. Do you have song requests? Actually, nonstop. It would be good to get some music on the stream. But it's always tricky because, I like different stuff that viewers might not like, and I don't know. I just didn't really want to go there because I was afraid of what people, like my taste in music and other people's taste in music is very different. I'm not into pop or anything really trendy. Knight e5, and where are we going? Knight h3. It's a Dutch, basically. We have time for h4. We're going to need to play b3. And we need to develop our pieces pretty quickly here. I guess h4 may not be necessary. No music, please. I'll leave then and there, said Plucro. See, it's very polarizing. And I think that music, although I love music and it's a huge part of my life, it's very polarizing. Some people will like it, some people will hate it. and then there's different kinds of music that people want to listen to. So it's really tough to decide about, whether that's a good idea or not. Bishop d7 threatening my c4 pawn. We're going to turn it in. It's basically a Dutch now, a kind of Dutch. I just killed Magnus. Title. Yeah, I mean, no, fun titles for the stream. And other fake news. Although sometimes I feel like, a little bit of music wouldn't hurt. I listen to music when I play. Mostly different kinds of rock from the 80s and 90s and even 2000s. The last couple days I was listening to Bauhaus a lot, which is like a really old goth rock. The most famous goth rock band. Probably the best. Peter Murphy. He's still alive and performing in California. I'm obviously not a goth, but I have a very wide taste in music as far as I would say most people from my generation. Can you suggest me some good books for the endgame? Well, I had this question the other day. I mean, the best endgame book, I think, of all time is Endgame Strategy by Mikhail Shereshevsky. Shereshevsky was, or is still alive, possibly. I'm not sure. He's a Belarusian chess trainer. And his most famous book is called Endgame Strategy. He wrote some other endgame books and some other books not on the endgame as well. People usually like when there's music in the background. When are you going to win an EPT title? I don't know. There is no more EPT. That's the problem. It's going to be difficult. I missed my last chance in Prague. Mr. DST. I was going to Prague the last several years, but the EPT is over. PokerStars has done away with it. Yet another great PokerStars decision. Now they have PokerStars championships. In Sochi was the latest event. I guess that wouldn't be so bad. I had a friend who visited Sochi recently, and it's pretty fantastic place. If you've got money, I guess. E3. I think we're going to need to play F4 around here. Because F3 feels a little bit too passive to me, to be honest. I was thinking about the last EPT Prague and this really donkey player that was like winning 700,000 euros in the high roller that I didn't play in, of course. But there's a lot of luck involved in tournament poker. And very rarely I was on the positive side of it. Some classic music in the background. Some George Thorogood and the Destroyer. Some blues or something, maybe. I don't know. I have to check out Spotify and see. I haven't really played around with Spotify lately. But I should check out and see what we could do. I mean, I don't want anything that would irritate the viewers. Maximum, some kind of... Man, Mule Skinner's getting really aggressive with me here. I guess I should go knight g5 now while I have the chance. What am I afraid of? Like, knight f2 or something? My knight is stuck on the side of the board. Position is almost completely symmetrical. But I have noticed that Mule Skinner improved. He ran really badly against me for a long time, but it seemed in more recent times he was doing better. I mean, there is an argument that this pawn is overextended. You know, it's very possible that's the case. It's also possible that black has that both sides have attacking chances on opposite sides, so crazy stuff can happen. He decided to castle queenside. This is not a normal way of playing this sort of position. I mean, 9 out of 10 times black would castle kingside in this sort of game, so I mean, this is far from a standard situation. What Muleskinner is doing here is very abstract. I've got to watch out for piece sacrifices like knight takes h2. I wanted to play knight e6 here, but I don't know if I can justify this sacrifice. Knight e6, take, take. Muleskinner also got faster. That's the other thing I noticed about him in recent times. Looks like I might have blundered. Looks like I definitely blundered here. He's also gotten faster. Not only stronger, but faster too. I guess I should have just pulled the trigger and played knight e6 there. Play some deathcore. One genre I haven't really gotten into. Probably like the hardest, you know, kind of music I'll listen to is, I don't know, some kind of something like the Melvins. Black's just all over me here. He's also gotten faster, as I said. I mean, he's pretty strong for his rating. I'm going to end up dropping a piece here if I'm not careful. So I have to be careful. Muleskinner's 2017, 1900 in blitz. He's like crushing me here. Feels like I'm getting crushed. And plus he's faster than me too. Knight a7 was possible in some lines, but black is just better here. I think he's just winning. My score is 68. This is a perfect move. I can almost resign here. Black's just gonna like brutally checkmate me by force. I could basically just resign in this position. I don't think there's any defense for white. I don't think we're going to see too many center pawn loss for black here, though. He played basically a perfect game. Queen f6 is a strange move, but certainly adequate. It's not so strange, actually. Looks good enough. I'm just going to resign. We're going to check out the analysis board here. Let's see how many center pawn loss he has. I think this is like perfect game by black. Let's see if he made any errors at all. I mean, Queen e7 was pretty extreme. e3 is maybe risky for black, but I don't see anything wrong with it. Computer thought I should have played f3. Safer than f4. And castle's queenside seemed kind of risky, but once again, I mean, I don't think that I have anything. Play queen c2, king b8, knight b5, h6. Black has a clear advantage now. Knight e4 is second. I didn't really have a chance in this game. Just totally lost. It's pretty strong for a 2000 player on lichess, which means he's like 1800 FIDE. Just completely wasted me. I basically didn't have a chance in that game. I mean, I don't know. It's like getting crushed by a GM. Just kind of scratch your head and you're like, well, I don't really know what I did wrong. But I noticed that Mule Skinner gets stronger and stronger in recent times. Bishop to b5. Not too many people just crush me in 20 moves, like falling out of bed. Bishop takes, c6, bishop takes, b takes. We've played this before a couple of times. Here, this is an interesting position. I guess that d3 is really rare the way you play this. 99 out of 100 players play like the main line here, including c3 or castles followed by c3. And so the way you play it with d3, it's really not played by top GMs. I've been trying to handle him with e5 and f5 and stuff like that. Plucro did say f3 seemed okay to me. It seems okay, Plucro, but I'm not really happy with White's position in any case there, you know. I don't think that White really has a lot of prospects. And I generally don't like to play those kind of positions with d4 and d5. I lost to a Spanish grandmaster once in that line. Arizmendi Martinez, actually from New Jersey. Not too many Spanish grandmasters from New Jersey, but this one is. Alright, I don't know. What are the alternatives to playing e5 in this position? We could play like bishop g4. Bishop g4, h3, bishop h5. We'll try something different. I'm not really sure what our plan is, though, for black with bishop g4. I agree White was passive, but giving the g4 square. How many center pawn lost did Mule Skinner have anyway? Did we even check that out? Knight bd2. I think that this is a reasonable system for black. We have Kasparov, Revolution in the 70s. In this book here, Gary talks about this line, but he talks about it in terms of, I think, like White castling in this position instead of playing d3. I mean, you don't have to commit to d3 or c3, Ayeste. I think castling is something you're going to do in most cases, although Ayeste has a strange way of playing where he actually castles queenside in this line, which is very unusual. I think that the whole variation is actually somewhat attributed to the Belarusian trainer. I think he's Belarusian. what's his name? Chebanenko, or I think it's Chebanen. I want to say Chebanenko, who invented like basically bishop takes c6 in the Rossolimo, or specialized in bishop takes c6 in the Rossolimo. This is now used in all variations. The guy who invented the a6 Slav. Mule Skinner had 24 cent-a-pawn loss. Hardcover, $650. What are you talking about? That book? The Shereshevsky book? Hardcover. Are we talking about the same thing here? I don't know. This could transpose to an e6 variation of... This probably transposed to an e6 Rossolimo. Like I played e6 on move 3. And then we could try some kind of creepy crawly sort of f6 in this position. We did trick him into castling kingside, which is usually something I can't get him to do. He'll castle queenside. I'm just not really sure how I should set up my pieces. It's like a Caro-Kann. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with my bishop and my knight in this position. This looks really strange. I'm going to play like a delayed e5 and try to bring my bishop back to h5, but this is super weird. But once again, not unusual in those e6 lines of the Rossolimo. Now he goes out on the white squares. And with these kind of ideas here, I think my position is sort of dubious. I was going to play e5. We'll probably have to do some crazy scheme of development here. Maybe knight h6 isn't so bad. That's also awkward. All my pieces are getting awkward here. We have this pawn wall of pawns. John Fedorovich calls this the pawn wall. He plays e6 against the Rossolimo. But white's development is way ahead. Maybe knight e7 now. Queen d7 is obviously... Actually, queen d7 is... And white has a huge advantage now. You guys are good. All of you. Guys, tomorrow's Weird Wednesday. I play unusual openings, something like this. Just kind of on my own here. Trying to stymie white with very bizarre play. Get him out of his comfort zone, shall we say. I'm out of my comfort zone. And we're in another one of these ridiculous closed positions. White just has a good game here. I mean, I just have less space. It's an unpleasant position. d4. Looks like some kind of very strange Nimzovich defense, where I've really lost a lot of time. I do have some center, but I can't really justify my lack of development here. Just for the sake of this really mutant bishop pair, I have on f7 and, well, it will be on f7 probably. f7, f8. The mutant bishop pair. Ever lost 2 in a row on the stream, of course. Of course I've lost 2 in a row. I don't know what that comment means. I'm a wholesome guy. What are you trying to say with that? I resent that. I really do. I resent being referred to as wholesome. I try everything I can to not be wholesome. You know, that's the last thing I ever wanted to be. Referred to as wholesome. Bishop f7, and look at this position, man. We are like on our back heels. Positionally getting squeezed by white. Unable to do anything. Just for the sake of keeping a good pawn structure in the bishop pair. I mean, you may ask, why did I play bishop f7? Well, a little bit of extra control of the center never hurt anybody. And then a3. Now you have this wonderful maneuver, knight c8. But we have issues here. We might have knight b6. I mean, we will probably have to play... Now, queen a5, I feel like I'm playing like God or something. Queen a5? That seems like a strange move. I mean, it's a good move strategically, but it's not necessary right away. And he gave me a little bit of time. Ayeste is like a positional maestro. I feel like I'm playing Eric Lebrun. I'm about to lose on time again. Easily. Slightly better for white here. Getting tortured. I don't know how much more correctly he can play, like positionally. It kind of reminds me of Mule Skinner. Like there's no, you know, he will not allow me to have any kind of tactics in any position. I'm about to lose on time again. Just getting crushed strategically. There might be a little bit of hope here, even with my awful bishop. I'm still worse, though. Just a glimmer of counterplay, but it's not really enough. He's fast, too. Not only good, but fast, too. This was a blunder. The last move, you could have taken the pawn. Last move, you could have taken the pawn on c6 here. Just winning for white after rook takes c6. This was a blunder. White played master level positional game the whole way. I'm glad you guys don't play me in the lichess tournaments, because I would have a bad score. White had a huge advantage here throughout the game. I just thought queen a5 was unnecessary. Bishop a3 first. Looks good. At least I had time to castle, so it's not that bad. But look at this. Positional maestro. I guess I missed e5 here. This was a very, very bad thing I did to let him play e5 there. And then he's better after that. Nabil. e6 was a strange choice when e5 was a move. Plukro, the reason I played e6, I guess you're not as in tune with my games as I am, but we've already had 2 games with Ayeste in that. And I was kind of bored with it, honestly. We've already had 2 games of the e5 with him in that variation. And he castles queenside, and it's kind of a weird position. So I wanted to try something different. But you're right. I mean, e5 is clearly a better move, and one of the reasons for my whole move order. Annie Bamba, I was just joking. I didn't know what you meant by wholesome, but it could be a compliment. It could be a kind of backhanded compliment. The 4th rank was off limits. Yeah, Ayeste is a strong positional player. Nabil with a strange provocative knight b6. What is that? That has got to be a chess 960 novelty. Never played before, I'm certain. I mean, you're just asking for it. It's the Alekine's defense in chess 960. Wow. Encouraging me to play c5 here. Nothing's weak on the back. I'm in the 7th rank. It was funny last game how the whole 5th rank was clear of pawns and pieces till white played queen a5. I think that's why he played. Everyone here seems so strong. I know they are pretty strong. I mean, it seems like everyone is playing candidate master level. The majority of ratings are around 2,000-ish, 2,100, but I feel that the play is stronger than that. You know, Mule Skinner crushed me like a master. Not to try to like make excuses and make myself look better, but if you look at the game, I mean, I don't feel that bad about it. I mean, if he's 1,800 on lichess, that's not how a normal 1,800 on lichess. You know, I would just annihilate them for the most part. You know, so. The ratings here are kind of unpredictable. I mean, you really can't tell how strong people are. But for the most part, our opponents in the stream are fairly strong. But I don't want to discourage people from playing. Anybody's welcome to play. You don't have to be candidate master strength to play here on the stream. I'm losing time. Well, I mean, part of the joy in the stream is talking and discussing different stuff. I'm not worried about it. We've got plenty of time. Knight on b6 is kind of badly placed, but he decided he needed a little bit of space. My knight is badly placed. This is one point I have made in earlier streams that it is very important to get the knights on rook 1 in chess 960 out into the game. It's literally the worst possible square for a knight. I don't know if anyone here, how many players here are tournament players from the US, but I'll never forget maybe my only tournament game with Emery Tate ever. I was white in a Benoni, and I'll never forget like Emery's analysis after the game. He like in this Benoni kind of Benko type of position, he maneuvered knight c7 to a8, and I'll never forget how excited he was. He was like, "Oh man, it was the greatest maneuver ever," you know, knight a8, and he was so excited about playing knight a8. You know, not too many people would be really thrilled about, you know, the thrill of playing knight a8. You know, but he's an artistic player, and in chess 960, that's literally the worst square. So Emery was excited about putting the knight on a8 because it's like breaking fundamental rules. He liked to kind of break the rules. Bishop f7. Man, I hate putting my knight on d2 when it looks like e3 might be a better square. Unfortunately, the world lost Emery Tate last year. And he was a creative genius, but also sometimes just played like a crazy man and lost like a bunny. Alright, we're going to play knight d2 and try to play this English opening, basically. Knight g6, Nabil. This is a weird move, too. He likes putting his knights on knight 6. I don't think that knight, he's a specialist in chess 960 like our man. The troll. Troll is... I could help mate myself with something like a3, knight a4, b4, knight c3. Helpmate. But I'm not going to do that if I have a choice in the matter. It's ironic because a3 is actually a reasonable move for white here. Alright, I'm just trying to coordinate. Dude, stop feeding? What does that mean? Even against b4, knight c6 is a good move. Knight c6 move is a good move. Yeah, and I was actually thinking about that the other day. Knight c6 is a good move against anything. Absolutely, man. The starting position is randomized. You're very right about that. And Nabil, with 4 minutes to my 1 minute, despite his ridiculous knights, he's making this look like a reasonable position. I don't like his bishop on h8. I don't like the knight there or knight there. But still he's castled. He's trying to force through a central break. Maybe we have to play knight d5 before he has a chance. Somehow he's turned this very strange setup into something playable, with 4 minutes on the clock. He's almost not thinking for any moves. I mean, I realize that I'm taking too much time, but what's interesting is that he's only used 5 seconds a move and playing perfectly. I'm certainly not capable of that in chess 960. Man, I'm not happy about this position. I was just going to castle here. I don't like knight takes c3 though. Okay, it's not a bad move probably. How does Nabil have 4 minutes to my 13 seconds? He also beat me last game. I don't remember that. Wow. He beat me in 15 plus 2. Interesting. Here he's playing with a very strange knight on g6, but otherwise flawlessly. Yeah, I don't think this is going to go too well for me. Maybe we can draw if I'm lucky. 1800. He's 2000 in classical, 2000 in blitz. 2000 in bullet. Chess 960, 1800. He's played like really efficiently here. Looks like virtually perfect. This is the only flaw in his position. Doesn't even matter that much here. It's kind of like, well, I can do whatever he wants and just wait, 10 moves from now, develop the bishop on h8. I'll just try to draw if I can survive here. Wow, I'm about to lose on time. Maybe I can sack the exchange or something. Black's playing like a monster. Please don't give me more time, dude. Okay? Or we can just end the game. I'll just offer you a draw. I don't want more time, dude. Alright, whatever. C4 he could have played, but it wasn't, I guess, clear enough. You know, he wanted something even better. I decided to do this. I'm not really sure about it. But we've got the d5 square. If he plays b3, maybe I can do something strange like a4. So as not to let him get two connected passed pawns. We can't let him have two connected passed pawns. His play is just ridiculously good. It's too natural. Too natural. This is risky. Maybe I can try to attack the A pawn from the front. He just instantly didn't even recapture. This is after giving him time back. Rook takes b5. Wow. I didn't even see that move. I just feel like I have no chance against this guy. I don't know why. Alright, dude, I'm just gonna abort the game. Resign. I already told him a couple times I don't want more time, so let's just go on to another opponent. I don't want people giving me more time in the games, and I asked you once already, so it just kind of pisses me off. We'll just resign that. Very strange. So, repeatedly I asked you not to give me more time, dude, and I've told other people about it, but it just irritates me, and I want to play with the time control we have, so if you don't listen and you can't play according to the way I want to play, I'm just going to resign. Anyway, guys, let's move on. Knight f3. New game, Godlike Moves, 1794. Ayesta, you're welcome. Yeah, it's not cool to give more time, dude. It is like kind of patronizing the other player, and it was a weird game, and he plays very, very strong, and with the time usage, I felt like I was just going to get crushed anyway. So Godlike Moves may not be here. Let's try King Chaser, Super Sebi, Casual, Abu Fazl, Constant Change, Amlochik. Godlike Moves is not here. All right, we're not gonna. I don't think he was prepared. Let's leave page. All right, Godlike Moves. If you come back, I'm happy to play. You just wanted to test your skills. You've tested your skills enough, dude. But you don't need to give me more time. It's like patronizing. I already told you not to give me more time. You're giving more time to an international master. It's like, what's going on here, you know? Anyway. Are you like a GM or something? We're not going to have King Chaser. King Chaser does this actually a lot. He's fairly frequently not ready when I accept a challenge. I don't think Nabil understands, dude. I asked him not to give me more time, and he did it again. All right, King Chaser. We also don't have a challenge there. All right, Super Sebi. We only have a limited amount of time. We have 3 seconds per move. So technically there's no need for us to ever lose on time. That's against Zareda in the first game. I just kind of froze, but normally I don't ever have to lose on time. I'm very good in time pressure. If you watch the stream on a regular basis, I normally almost never lose on time. So if you guys would watch the stream like Henning on a regular basis, you would know that it's very infrequent that I actually lose on time. Occasionally I'll just kind of freeze like a deer in the headlights, but for the most part I'm wicked good at playing in time pressure. And that's the reason why we had the increment. And otherwise these games could last with the increment, the game could last 25 minutes. If you could keep giving me time, it could take half an hour to actually play the entire game. You can't keep prolonging the game, right? Otherwise, exactly, we would just play for half an hour one game if you just keep giving me unlimited time. Super Sebi playing some kind of reversed opening here. Well, it's basically a Queen's Indian with colors reversed. Maybe I should take on d4 there. I'm not really certain. You could certainly play the Queen's Indian reversed. It's not that much different from a Grunfeld reversed. It's not as dynamic as setups with the Fianchetto. I play a lot of Grunfeld reversed. But I think White has a license to play, some weird opening moves. This isn't too bad. Yeah, it's for everybody, exactly. So that's why I asked nobody to give me extra time. That's the first time I've actually resigned the game because of people giving me time, but it's the second time I had to ask, so... Knight on BD2. That looks kind of passive for White. I don't understand why he doesn't shore up his center with E3. I don't think there's anything dynamic. Pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn, e5, knight takes c6, b takes c6, bishop takes e5. This sort of position has been played with colors reversed, where White sacks a pawn against the Petrosian system. It's like a Petrosian system of the Queen's Indian with colors reversed. But I just don't think it's sound to sacrifice a pawn. I haven't played a3 like in a normal Petrosian, but he's also got White. So this pawn sacrifice, take, e5, it looks interesting, but probably not fully sound for me. Let's, thinking about developing the bishop outside the pawn chain is one plan. I know that I'm using too much time again here, but I want to make a good move. G6. I don't know. Let's take and decide what to do. A lot of different moves I could play. I'm not going to have to play a6, which is, again, it's basically a Petrosian Queen's Indian, where he's got White with an extra move, but I haven't had to play a6. So there you are. Safest move is e6 now for Black, and White should be fine. Black should be fine. This is basically equal. I think, again, e5 is a risky move. Maybe it's playable, but being Black, I don't know. I think it's too much. How long does it take one from being untitled to become an NM if one studies quite often but no formal coaching? Well, and NM is a national master, 2200 by a national federation, I guess. It takes time. I don't know. I mean, it depends on how smart you are and how strong you are and how much you play and how much you practice. It's really, anything is possible. You know, I would imagine without formal coaching, with internet play constantly, you could do it in a few years if you're really talented. You know, some people play their whole lives. They never become a national master. So it's kind of a difficult question to answer. I mean, everyone is different in their natural ability, and if you're very talented, you could go from an amateur to a national master in a few years without formal coaching, as you say. But I think, you know, there's not that many people that can do that. To be very intelligent and have time to practice. There's so many variables that go into it. You know, middle-aged people like have a hard time because they're not like that free to play in tournaments all the time. Depends on your age, what your responsibilities are. It's easier if you're like a student or a high school kid. Or I improved dramatically when I was in school, starting when I was 13, and I became a master when I was 18. So 5 years from amateur to national master, which I think is probably not unusual for that age. I don't know, guys. This is kind of a boring opening. I try to play actively, but there's just not much going on here. I just don't know why I have this position on the board. He played knight f3, I played c5, he played b3. I do occasionally run into this, but I've never actually played knight c6 that often here. I think I usually, maybe I have knight c6, bishop e2, d5. Mostly people play e3, and I play a6. Man, this is just a really boring position. I don't know what to do. I mean, rook c8, bishop e7. Really insipid position. I don't know what I should do. Change how I play against b3, I guess, here. This is an accurate move by Super Sebi. Bullet player. He's 1300 in bullet. I can't play bullet that well. I would probably be 2200 in bullet. I don't know. I could probably be better than that if I practiced, but I don't play bullet anymore. This is just nothing for black. Very accurate order of moves, forcing me to take an isolated pawn. If I had taken with the knight, he has knight takes c6, bishop takes c6, bishop takes g7. And I don't see any compensation for that sacrificed pawn. So now he's forced me to have an isolated pawn. It was actually difficult to avoid that from happening, you know, in this position. How do I avoid getting an isolated pawn? Do I want to take on c4? Perhaps I should have taken on c4, but that develops his bishop for him. If he takes with the knight, I have bishop e4 check. But if I take on c4, he develops a piece for free. But maybe that was better, you know, just to develop the piece for free rather than getting an isolated pawn. Instead of bishop e7, I can take on c4. D takes c4, bishop takes c4, and then like maybe bishop e7 with equality. This way it's more dynamic, but it's also worse for me because I have the static weakness on d5. And I don't really have a very dynamic... I don't have a very dynamic position. As far as the typical, isolated queen pawn position goes. Knight e5 may seem like a strange move, but I don't really want to trade pieces with white. Make it easy for him to long-term play against my pawn on d5. If you do face an opponent and you've got an isolated queen pawn, and generally speaking, I think it's good to avoid exchanges with the defending side. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. If you watch a good French player on the black side of the Tarrasch French, someone like Ullmann, famous German grandmaster who was a specialist in the French defense, typically speaking, they'll make sustained efforts to avoid exchanges of pieces. The Super Sebi playing, he's 1693, but he's played the opening like a master. It's a somewhat passive line for white, not very inspiring, but I think his play so far is absolutely flawless. He couldn't play this better. White doesn't have much, but it's extremely solid, and his move order seems accurate. He has a strategic advantage. I mean, Karpov could probably do something with white's position here. a6, I wanted to play take away the b5 square. I like white. I would take white in this position. Triumphant says the exchange would allow the b pawn to join the d pawn, though. How many times have I played? I've done some videos on my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. You can check out that and my series on trashing the Tarrasch. But like Rubinstein's favorite method of winning Tarrasch type positions, Triumphant was oftentimes just taking on c6 and then blockading the hanging pawns. I mean, the hanging pawns are just practically as weak as an isolated pawn. This really not improving in a kind of pure sense. Maybe in like a king and pawn endgame, the hanging pawns would be better, say. But the weaknesses are just as serious in this sort of position where you have the b takes c6. It's not an easy life. White played a strange move now. This first move that looks strange to me, queen d2. I thought he should have played queen c2 and planned on bringing the queen back to b1 and such there. On d2, his queen is actually a target to my knight coming to e4. The only move that white's played that I thought is imperfect. So now we hope that we can play actively and turn the corner on white. Turn this into a good isolated queen pawn position. Sometimes I refer to this as a one square position. Like all of white's pieces trying to use the same square. And with a knight on d4, if that knight doesn't move, then everybody, the whole family basically, is hung up behind that one piece, So your entire position hinges on this this one square. But they're actually, all the pieces are getting in the way, the knight is in the way of all the pieces on d4. So it's actually hard for white to do anything. And it makes playing this kind of position difficult. I lost to Gregory Kaidanov once in this type of isolated queen pawn position. And now he's walked into a tactic that looks quite strong for black. Bishop takes h2 check, followed by queen h4 with very good attacking prospects. I'm just double checking I mean, we might have other ways to play it. Knight takes f2, king takes queen h4 check is also very interesting. Knight takes, king takes, queen h4 check looks promising as well. I don't know, maybe I like trading the knight better than trading my dark squared bishop. Black with excellent attacking chances here. Possible sacrifices at e3. This is one of the more instructive positions we've had. Mostly I've been getting dragged around today by everybody. I'm not sure that this was actually best though. Perhaps I should have done the bishop takes h2. I mean, black has at least a draw there by force. Of course, we're looking for more than a draw. This is mate. You have to play king f1. But I'm not that sure what's going on after king f1. Look at that. He's alright after king f1. I mean, we'll let the computer look over the horizon, but it appears that king f1 is alright. And you actually lost in a drawn position, or equal position. Computer says that white has equal chances here. Rook c8 equals 0.00. I guess it sees a line where I make a draw, but I guess I made a mistake. I should play bishop takes h2 check. Serious mistake. This is much better. Yeah. I didn't see a mate, but I guess I have some sick move like bishop h3 here. Wow. Knight h4. So there's all sorts of moves. Wow, minus 17. That's a very bad error by me to play knight takes f2. Thanks, Plukro, for putting that up there. But anyway, one little inaccuracy by both sides, the whole game shifts. So here white cannot play knight d2, but he's already in a kind of unpleasant situation. This is, again, I lost this exact kind of position against Kaidanov once. White, it's very hard to play white. You don't really have any active plan. All the pieces are on the board, and white has to be like Karpov or something, you know, in this sort of position. You've got to defend like you're black in a Caro-Kann Panov attack or something. So it's I don't know, it's easier to play black now. But here he made a very bad move. When he played queen d2, queen c2, see the engine, immediately queen c2. Queen c2 and hiding the queen back on b1. You know, where it's going to hide back here on b1, maybe go to a1 if necessary, controlling f5. The rook will come to d1, and white has slightly better chances. So this was definitely the most interesting and instructive game we had today. Constant change, really tough customer. Yesterday he was kind of rushed. Again, he's probably the last, could be the last game for the day, but he has time to play today. E4. Alright, let's go back to our Sicilian defense. This is the second day in a row I had black. Or was it white yesterday? I was white yesterday, my bad. Alright. We had black in a Sicilian. So in my simul, I do a simul every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. CET. Guys should know that 20 to 25 players every Sunday here on lichess. If you want to come, you're welcome to join. On Sunday, I had a game against Constant Change where I made a terrible combination that didn't work, but he didn't spot it, and the position ended up as equal. So he played a very strange variation against me. I don't know if he's going to repeat it. Glideson, welcome. What's up, man? How's your studies? I know you're busy with, or you were busy with school. Guys, I have the YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. check it out. I do upload all the streams over there. Simul on Sundays. Tomorrow is Wednesday when I play unusual openings here in Blitz and Classical Chess. Kind of make things a little bit more interesting than playing the same stuff. Also, if you do, I appreciate anyone donating via PayPal, both via the YouTube channel or here on Twitch. We can use the donations to support the stream, and even just $5 or $10 a year, I really appreciate it. Constant change yesterday. I thought you played Bishop B5 against me. Bishop G5, or am I hallucinating? Anyway, we have a chance to play something interesting. The anti-Sozin. Now, if you haven't seen that before, you're probably not in the minority. This is something I borrowed from Grandmaster Konstantin Chernyshov. But apparently Leko played this against Anand in 1994. He quickly reacted. Constant change is really practical. I mean, I would think there for a long time if I had faced a strange move like knight a5. The other day I had bishop b5 check played against me, which is one of the main lines. Bishop b5 check and bishop e2, pretty much more typical to encounter those moves. But bishop d3, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Now we have to decide what kind of setup we're going to play for black. I normally don't like to play e5. One drawback of this guy is that we have taken away our control of the center with e5 and d4. Somehow I'm drawn to playing g6 here. Play a Najdorf, a Dragendorf, if you will. But it may be possible to play e6 as well. This also could enable us to play e5 at a later date without worrying about knight f5. But there's not a lot of theory on this. I'm sure that we'll find some games with bishop d3, but unfortunately bishop d3 is the move that I've faced the least out of all the possible bishop b5, bishop d5, bishop b3, bishop e2. I haven't played this line that many times, but it's a good practical weapon to take the Sozin player out of book. What's your thought on what? You're not inspired by knight a5 instead of thematic a6. Man, I mean, if you're not inspired by knight a5, what can you be inspired by? It's the most creative move in the position. But it also has a very good score in practical play. If you sat next to Konstantin Chernyshov while he wasted a solid IM playing that move, you'd be inspired. You know, routine moves. A6 actually is fine, but it's not the main move in this position. I mean, E6 is better. You know, it's not necessary to play A6. A6, you're playing a Najdorf with a knight on C6. I mean, if I wanted to play the Najdorf, I would play it on move 5. But oftentimes I do play A6. You have to play A6 later on in many cases, but I don't see why playing A6 on move 6 is interesting. Queen B6 is the other very important move in this position. The Benko variation, putting pressure on D4, forcing white to move the knight, or play bishop E3, which is some kind of speculative move. I don't think it's sound. So we're playing the Dragendorf, basically, with our knight on A5. The bishop's on a kind of crappy square, honestly, on D3. So that's a kind of justification. I mean, our knight is on the side of the board, but white's bishop is on a bad square. So it works both ways. I've also played knight a5 and knight a4 type moves. I never played it against the Rosalimo, but my friend Mark Quinn from Ireland has given that variation a try. e4, c5, knight f3, bishop b5, knight a5, which kind of makes some sense because the bishop is sort of lost. On b5, it doesn't really know where to go. I played knight a4 in some lines of the what's it called now? Neo Nimzo Indian English opening. I thought you didn't like putting him on a5. I love putting him on a5. I don't like knights on b6. I don't like knights on g6 and b6. I'd much rather have my knights on a5 and h5 than b6 and g6. The knight, it's fairly active. I mean, it has the c4 square, which is a totally standard maneuver in a lot of lines of the dragon and even Scheveningen. I mean, oftentimes we play knight a5 anyway. Black might be able to play something like e5 and d5 around here. Steinitz also played knight a5 in some lines of the Scotch very early. So Dragendorf, a6 now starts to look like a normal move. I'm not inspired by e5 though. I'd like to play it, but it's not quite doing it for me. I think a5 with the idea of queen c7 is interesting, but I'm not certain. Yeah, it looks kind of slow actually. Probably we should play bishop d7 and develop a piece. That's what I feel like Chernyshov would do. Although I'm not sure that Constantine would have fianchettoed his bishop on g7. It feels right here, though. Try to quickly play development with rook c8. Try to make this knight on a5 work. So I like the way White's played it. It's very logical. Bishop d3 and h3. Probably critical. As good as anything, basically. I do take away the knight's retreat to d7 with the move bishop d7. So there's a drawback to that. This is an odd move, knight d5, unprovoked. If I take on d5, he has kind of a clamp, like in the classical lines of the dragon. But it seems like White had more aggressive ways of playing here. Instead of knight d5, f4. He's not really threatening anything per se. Rook c8, e6. I don't like taking on d5. That's the kind of structure that's usually very unfavorable for black. Once I take on d5, there's no way to free myself from the situation. So I think that's kind of hope chess for White a little bit. Like, I'm going to just cooperate and play knight takes knight. Rook c8 is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I think rook c8 should be fine. Preparing to get the knight in the game with knight c4. I've got to watch my a7 pawn. I would try solving the bad piece before making structural concessions. Yeah, e5 is very committal. I wouldn't play that unless I saw a really concrete I mean, the first line I looked at was immediate e5, d5, which I wasn't really sure about. I thought it's probably not enough, but if I can play e5, d5 in one go, you know, I probably equalize. Steinitz did that in some games in the g6 Scotch, where he would meet the Scotch with g6, and then White would mistakenly put the bishop on c4, and Steinitz went like knight a5, and then very quickly got in d5 and equalized the position completely. If Black plays g6 in the Scotch type of positions, oftentimes White wants to play bishop c4 to attack f7, but it may be like not, you know, it feels like the most aggressive, but not necessarily better than like bishop e2 or some kind of solid move. Anyway, that's a completely different opening than this, but the concept of playing knight a5 to shake the bishop on c4 is pretty logical. And now, I mean, we're picking off that bishop with knight c4. He made a solid developing move. There's also e6, which I think is my preferred way of dealing with this type of position in general. We're going to have to get rid of the knight on d5. You know, it's got to go. It's a matter of timing it. What about knight c4, bishop takes c4, rook takes c4? What's really going on there? There's something to that, you know, because his e-pawn will be hanging at the end of the day. I mean, it's not easy playing black in the Sicilian if White plays perfectly. But Constantine just made a really strange move. I mean, I'm taking that dark square bishop all the time. That piece you should not give up. That's White's best long-term minor piece here. If I take on d5 now, again, he has the pressure. But if I play e6, I think that black is good. I'm not winning, but I mean, I don't have any problems anymore after this move. I don't think black can possibly be worse here after White gives up the dark squared bishop. We basically have a kind of hedgehog. I thought he would take on f6. We have a hedgehog where he has no dark squared bishop. It's a very bad positional mistake, allowing knight takes c4. He traded the wrong bishop. I mean, this is the bad bishop, this is the good bishop. If you take on c4, you give up your bad bishop for my knight. And the way you played it, you gave up your good bishop and kept your bad bishop. And black should be at least equal here. Trying not to get into vicious time pressure. Bishop c6. Don't give me more time, please. Nabil. Still, it's not easy to say black's 100% better. Alright, I don't know. Black is slightly better. Let's just leave it with that, but still not that easy. e5, best move. Hands down. We have our bad bishop and our good bishop. One of them is better than the other. Can you guess which one is which? With that monstrous bishop on g7 as compared to the bishop on d3. If you want to make a comparison of bishops, my bishop is a good kingside defender, and it also just pressures this key long diagonal. Opening up the long diagonal. Wow, he has defense there. We have terrific pressure. I like this op's color, bishop position. Very little time though. You know, our last game for today, guys. Sorry I can't get to any more games, but it's 12:30. And only on Mondays I'm really doing an extended stream till 1 o'clock. Tomorrow we'll be back with more chess. Weird Wednesday. Unusual openings. Trying to play different stuff rather than the standard repertoire. Make it interesting. So we have better development, better bishop, better knight. Solid king position with that king side. This guy is a good defender, good attacker. This bishop on d3. Should have been sold for the knight on c4. Maybe he was like, he felt like after bishop b5, knight a5, bishop c4, knight a5, he didn't want to trade. Like he didn't want to trade from my guy anymore. Oh. Winning a pawn. So now queen takes d3 or rook takes d3. I guess we'll take with the queen and try to get back and consolidate. He lost on time. I mean, it looks like queen b6 and try to avoid exchange of queens with a little bit of compensation. Not really. Yeah, queen b6 is best, and it's clear advantage, winning position for black. So constant change there. I mean, that was weird. I mean, why would you choose to give up? If you have the choice of both bishops to give up here after knight c4, you've got to give up this guy on c4. This is good. It's your bad bishop, and you play something solid here for white, defending the e4 pawn, like the computer says queen d3, for example, and it looks like it's equal. Black even is tiny bit worse, which is to be expected from, you know, from a Dragendorf, whatever risky variation I played. But just to show you guys, this knight a5, you know, it has a kind of pedigree. The game found lots of games. Anand Leko, Alberto David versus Navarra, Chernyshov. Anyway, interesting line getting out of book. If you want something, you know, in the classical Sicilian against bishop c4 to take white out of their preparation, knight a5, yeah, it does the trick. But it's, you know, it's still bishop b5 check or bishop e2. This is interesting though, bishop d3, and most people did play g6. Chernyshov, Ubilava, good company. All right, guys, thanks for joining me, and thanks to Plukro for moderating. Don't forget to donate via PayPal. If you're interested in training or lessons, send me an email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. Also, check out the YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Wow, I had 11 cent-a-pawn loss in this game, 2 inaccuracies. Knight a5 is an inaccuracy, according to the computer, of course. Just like 1 g6. But I mean, I'm not trying to argue that knight a5 is the best move in the opening. It's sometimes we have to make moves to confuse our opponents, and I think that knight a5 is a really good practical move. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.